Hello everyone and welcome back to Jessie Kate Creates. I am Jessica and today's video is going to be a project share / quick tutorial on some cards that I've made and will be donating to the card drive for Uvalde, the Uvalde, Texas community that Biddy Penny is hosting. I will have Biddy Penny's video where she talked about the card drive. I'll have that linked up here for you guys, and I will also have her website with more information about the card drive in the description box below. So a couple weeks ago when Biddy Penny announced this card drive, I was on vacation, and I knew as soon as I got home I wanted to make some cards for this drive. And one of the things that Biddy Penny said in her announcement video was that the kids needed to hear messages that they are loved. And that really just, I don't know, that just struck a chord in me. And so those were the types of cards that I wanted to create, or those were, I guess, I had the kids in mind when I created these cards. Now to make these cards, I used materials that I know I have on hand, and I know a lot of you guys have on hand as well. That way these are cards that you can put together pretty quickly. You have everything you need in your stash. You don't need to run out and buy anything. I guarantee you whatever you have in your stash, you can make these same cards, okay? So here are the cards. And these ones, you guys, I'm telling you, they are so simple. All you need some pattern paper, which I know you guys have. I know y'all are paper hoarders like I am. You need some sort of focal image. And you guys know I was addicted to all the cute stuff at the Dollar Tree. I've been trying to go less and less these days. So you could use ephemera, you could use sticker. These technically are table scatter, I believe. Yes. This is table scatter from the Dollar Tree. I picked this up a couple months ago, and I thought these images were cute and they're very kid friendly, so that's why I decided to go with these. But you could also use, like I said, sticker if you have a bunch of ephemera in your stash. If you like to stamp out images, you could stamp out an image. Like, there's so much that you could do. I know you have something in your stash that you can use to make these work. And then you need a sentiment. I made my own sentiment strips for these, but you could just use a stamp. If you have that, I know more companies now have the sentiments where they come in a sheet and you just cut them out, so you could use those. But whatever you have, I'm telling you, you have something that you can use to make these work. And then I just added an extra piece of paper as a focal image on the back of all of these cards. You guys, I'm so sorry if all those cards were out of frame. Okay, so like I said, for the sentiments on these cards, I wanted to keep it simple and straightforward. You know, she said the kids need to hear messages that they're loved, so that's what I went with. You are loved. And I made these sentiments using my printer and my Cricut. So I just printed them on a laser printer and foiled them. And then I used my Cricut to cut out the banners. And they all just say you are loved. Some are in gold, some are in blue, because I thought those colors worked really well with the pattern paper and the images I used. And that's what I happen to have in my stash. So that's what I made. Okay. So let's get into making one of these cards, and I'll show you some of the materials in a little bit more detail. Okay, so first you need your pattern paper. I already have some pattern paper that I've cut down. It is simply 4 by 5 1/4. So it's just an A2 panel that will map onto an A2 card, just like this. Nothing fancy, okay? You can get 6 of these out of one piece of 12 by 12 paper. So I happen to use papers from a really old paper pad I bought at Walmart a super long time ago. The paper is still fine, but it was a good chance to use it up. But if you take your paper and you cut it at 5 1/4 and then 5 1/4 again, and then you take each of those strips and you cut it at 4 and at 4, you'll be able to get, and you get one here, 6 pieces from one piece of 12 by 12. And then you have all of this left over, and you're gonna save this at the top. Sorry, you'll have this little bit left over, and you're gonna save that because you'll use it to decorate inside the card, okay? So if you have, I know some people, when they get their pattern paper, they like to cut it up into panels like this so it's ready to go. If you have 6x6 paper, you can get one of these from each sheet of 6x6. I'm telling you, you guys, whatever you have in your stash, I know you can make it work for this project. Okay, so we have this, and I'm just gonna take a second to adhere that down to my panel. I'm telling you guys, this card is so quick and so easy, right? So I'm just gonna, yep, making sure it's opening the right way. I'm just gonna stick this down. Hey guys, it's voiceover Jessica here. I'm just butting in for a moment. So when I sat down to film this video, originally the plan was to just make one card just so you could see how I made them. But once I started doing that, I realized I already had all the supplies I needed to make like 5 or 6 more cards. So it seemed to just make sense to go ahead and assembly line them and make them all at once. So this video is longer than I initially planned, but it's because I'm making more cards than I thought I was going to. Now, I did just want to take a second to let you guys know, Biddy Penny, who is putting on this card drive for the Uvalde, Texas community, on her website, she has a page dedicated to this card drive. Before you sit down and start crafting and making your cards, please take a second to go look at that page. I'll have it linked in the description box below. It has a lot of really great and important information, so guidance on the types of sentiments they're looking for, or the things they're needing, like cards for people of various ages. You know, they want to make sure that you include envelopes with the cards, and they also talk about some things that they don't want in the cards. So for example, no cards with political messages. That page has a lot of really important information for you before you send these cards. Biddy Penny is going to be sitting down and taking the time to screen all of these cards before they go out. So let's do what we can, since she is doing such an amazing thing for this community. Let's do what we can to make that process a little bit easier for her as well. So definitely click on the link, go visit her page, and now let's get back to finishing up these cards. All right, so now that we've got all of those added on, that just took a couple minutes. The next thing we're gonna do is make our backing panel. Now for this, I used my Cricut. If you don't have a Cricut, that's totally okay. You can still make this work. So with my Cricut, I just had it cut out these like partial circle shapes. And I just used some 12 by 12 single-sided paper that, it's a pretty paper, but I knew I wasn't gonna use it. I knew I wasn't gonna use those cut aparts, and it was white on the back, so I just used it as white paper. Sorry, I know that might be painful for some of you, but I don't mind. I do that sometimes when I just need 12 by 12 white paper in a pinch. You don't have to though. You could cut or punch circles out of just plain white cardstock, and I'm going to use some of these to show you exactly how you do that. Now, you could put these just plain on the panel just like this. I wanted to add a special touch to these cards, so I decided to emboss them. This, I don't know where this embossing folder, what brand it is. I got this at a craft exchange, which is basically just like a crafty thrift store. So I don't know what brand this is, but I'm just going to take, I like these bigger folders because I can put multiple pieces inside at a time. I'm going to go emboss these real quick and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back and I've gone ahead and embossed those 3 panels. So now we're going to add all of these to our cards. And whenever I'm adding something that's embossed, I like to use wet glue because I feel like it kind of adheres better, but you don't have to. And I'm just adding these a little bit down in the center, but maybe just a little bit down from the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as you can see, these cards go really quick. We're gonna have 5 cards in like what, 20-25 minutes, and you could easily make even more, because kind of once you get into the zone, it's just really easy to crank these out. Okay. Oh, that's a little high. There we go. So the other nice thing about wet glue, you get a lot of wiggle room. Now, let's say that, you know, you don't feel like you can do this. Like I said, you can keep it simple. Here, I just have 2. These were just, honestly, I have a little scrap bin of things that I've die cut and haven't used, and these were both in there. So that's what I'm using. But you could also just cut a panel out with your paper trimmer. Or if you have punches, use your punches. This is a very forgiving design that is very versatile and very adjustable to whatever it is that you happen to have in your stash. So for these, since they're flat, I just used my tape runner, and I'll just stick those down just like that. There we go. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is add our sentiments to our card. Like I said, I used my Cricut machine to print and cut and foil these guys, but you don't have to. You could just stamp a sentiment, or you could just print and cut a sentiment. Like I said, Bitty Penny for this card drive has a whole free printable sheet of sentiments that you could use on your cards. So that's also a really, really great option. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and, actually, you know what? I should probably add my images first. I think that's what I did the first time. So for my images, I'm going to use a couple different things. I'm going to use this little fox I have that I hadn't used yet. And like I said, these are table scatter from the Dollar Tree. They probably don't still have these, but I know you guys have something in your stash you could use. Again, you could, if you have any stickers, you could use those. Ephemera, stamped images. I mean, the sky is the limit. If you like printables, there's probably printable images online you could use. You know, whatever you have, make it work. And I like these felt ones because they're still, I mean, they have a really flat profile still. So I think they'll mail fine. Okay, there we go. That's that guy on there. Now, let's say you don't have that. Let's say you have stickers. These are just popped up stickers from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to use some of these. These already have adhesive on them, which makes life easy. So I'm just going to take a couple guys and pop them right on down. Let's see, for this one, I like this purple guy. I think that's really cute. For these two, I like this guy here. I'll put him down a little lower. There we go. I think he's cute there. For this guy, we can use a taller one. Or, yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. So we'll stick him down just like that. All right. Bam, we got all our images on our card. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the sentiments. So I'm just going to flip these over and add tape on the back. Okay, and that's the beauty of cards like these, you guys. I mean, they're simple, but they're still so special. I mean, look at that. That's so adorable. Okay. For this guy, I'm just adding these sentiments right underneath I'm just adding them right underneath my little animals. We just kind of tuck nicely under. But you guys can see these cards take no time at all. And hopefully they bring, I don't know, hopefully they bring comfort to this community. Get that straight, yeah. Okay. So you guys, we've been crafting for what, maybe 15 minutes? And we have made 5 cards. You could stop here. I'm gonna add some sequins. You don't have, oh, actually we're not done. These are just the fronts of the cards. Let's make some insides for these cards, you guys. This is also going to be very quick and simple. So for the cards, I just decorated the bottom of a piece of paper and stamped a sentiment. So what I have is, hold on, let me find my paper. Here we go. Okay. So this is just some paper that's white cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4. And I have a sentiment already lined up in my MISTI. And this sentiment is from Crafter's Companion. This is their Get Well Soon set. I picked this up at Tuesday morning a year or 2 ago. And one of the sentiments says, sending warm thoughts and sunshine your way with hope that they bring some cheer to your day. I thought that one was really good. There are a couple other ones, like one says, wishing you courage, hope, and spirits you need to get through this difficult time. I might make some more like this with a slightly more adult looking card because I can only imagine how hard it is for all of the parents and the staff and the first responders. And I think they need to know that they are loved too. So I think I will be making more using this design with a kind of more adult cards if I can. If I do, I'll make sure to share those with you guys. But today we're just going to use this one. Okay. So for these, I decided to switch it up, and instead of using black ink, I am going to be using some green ink. This is Sprout from Concord and Night. And yeah, I'm just gonna stamp this down onto 5 panels. So here you can see I'm using my MISTI to make this go a little quicker, but of course you can use an acrylic block. Or if you don't want to put a message inside these cards, you don't have to. On the informational webpage Bitty Penny has provided, it does say that you can either put a message in the cards or you can leave them blank. So if you want to leave the inside of your cards blank, that is definitely an option. Or if you do want to put a sentiment on the inside of your cards and you're not sure what to say, on that same page on the website, there is also a list of printable sentiments that you can print out, and you could use some of those sentiments for the front of the card and some of those sentiments for the inside of the card if you'd like. Okay. So now, you remember that leftover strip we had from our pattern paper? I've just gone ahead and cut these down into 1/2 inch strips, just like this. And you guys know, if you watch this channel, this is my go-to method for decorating the inside of a card. You just add a leftover strip to the bottom. And I like it because it uses up the paper. Like, I don't love having big scraps like this in my stash. Yes, you can do stuff with them, but it's not my favorite scrap to use up. So this is just a simple way to dress up the card even more and use up those scraps so that I don't have to put them back into my stash. So now I'm just adding that piece of paper to the bottom of each card. If that's not your style, you don't have to do that. Or if you're like using a stamp for the focal point on your cards, I think it would be really cute to stamp that same image on the inside of your card. You could maybe do it in the same color, or you could do it in a lighter color. Or if you don't like decorating the inside of your cards, you don't have to do that either. Whatever your card making style is, that is perfectly fine. But once I have finished all of the panels for the inside of the cards, I just added adhesive to the back, and here I'm just sticking them down into the cards. So these are the cards. Now for the other cards, for these guys, I added sparkles. As you can see, I added some sequins. But I actually really like the dinosaurs without the sequins. And as you can see here, for some of these, I used the exact same backer. For some, I just used a circle or a rectangle. It doesn't matter what you use. Whatever you have on hand is going to work to make these adorable cards. So like I said, I'm not going to put sequins on these, but the last thing I am going to do, I'm going to stamp these so that folks know that these were made for them with love. So I just have an old stamp set that my husband got me like when I very first started crafting back in 2015, as I think it was a Christmas present. My husband bought me a set of like handmade for you stamps. I don't know what brand they're from or any of that information, but I still have some of the stamps, and I just picked one that says handmade for you and has some hearts, and I'm just gonna stamp that on the back of each of these cards. I'm just using black ink on these. Okay, so there we go. In about 25 minutes, we have 5 cards. We could have easily made more. I mean, I think you could have gotten a whole, if you had prepped all the pieces for even more, you could have gotten more done, but I think these aren't bad at all. Not too shabby. Here we go. These are the 5 cards that we made in 25 minutes using minimal supplies that I think all of you guys probably have on hand. Now I will say, before I send these off, I do think I'm going to write a small message inside. I think maybe just something like, you know, you're important, you matter. Just a small handwritten message inside each of these. I think my husband and I will take some time to do that later today, and then we will get these shipped off to Biddy Penny. So like I said before, again, in the description box is the link to Biddy Penny's information about the Uvalde card drive. There will also be the link to her announcement video about the card drive. And I highly, highly encourage all of you to find 30 minutes in the next week where you can sit down and make some cards for this drive, so we can all send, you know, love to the community in Uvalde, Texas. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.